Good morning, everyone, to this meeting of League City Toastmasters. I'm glad that each of you are here today. My name is Scott Livingston. I am the president of League City Toastmasters. And at this time, let's do very brief member introductions. Please just give your name. If you have an officer's role, please mention that, and then mention how long you've been a Toastmaster. So for example, I'm Scott Livingston. I'm the president of League City Toastmasters, and I've been a Toastmasters for a year. Alicia, would you go next, please? I think you're on mute, Alicia.
I am Alicia Lamborghini West. I am the Vice President of Education, and I was in Toastmaster for 1 year and 3 or 4 months.
Fantastic. Thank you, Alicia.
Thank
Let's
you.
go to Elizabeth. Excuse me. Elizabeth, you've been in a little bit longer. However, let's go to Megan because she's a VP. Go ahead, Megan.
Good morning. I am Megan Lemaster, and I am the Vice President of Membership, and I have been a Toastmaster for 6 months.
Thank you, Megan. And Elizabeth, please introduce yourself and not just your role in this club, but what you do for Toastmasters and other clubs in the district.
Thank you so much, Scott. I started my very first Lunch and Learn Toastmasters this month last year in October. And 3 months later, I chartered my first Toastmasters club, Greenway Plaza, in January and became president of that. And I'm now president of a second club, Boeing, and I'm club coach of this club, sergeant at arms of this club, club mentor for University of Houston Cougar Rhetoric, and club mentor for Cougar Rhetoric, and then club sponsor for Greenway Plaza. I hold 3 co-chair positions for this District 56, co-chair of our spring conference for next year, co-chair for club officer training, as well as club co-chair for online leadership electives that's free to all Toastmasters of District 56. If you just go to our TMD website, you can click on calendar and take all the online leadership electives that you like. We teach everything from pathways to effective leadership to anything that has to do with Toastmasters. You'll learn something from there. And I have just signed paperwork. I'm chartering 2 more clubs in the League City area that should be ready to go in the next 3 months, which I'm very excited about. And I'm district area director of P3, and we are in actually area P, but this is not 3. It used to be in 3, so I would have been the area director of League City, but it moved to another area. So I'm also over area director of 4 other clubs, and I'm a member of 4 clubs. One of them is an advanced club. That's it. Thank you.
I don't know how you remember all that. That's a tremendous amount. So thank you, Elizabeth. Glad you're here. Now let's go to Spencer. Spencer, can you hear us? I see that Spencer is trying to connect to audio. I'll give him a couple of seconds to respond. And if I don't hear from Spencer, I'm going to assume he's having slight connection issues. And one of the reasons I wanted to, can you hear me, Spencer? I wanted to recognize Spencer highly because he is our newest member in Toastmasters. So welcome. Welcome, Spencer. He completed his paperwork last night. We processed his payment this morning, and Megan is prepared to do a new member induction in the next few minutes. Not yet, but in the next couple of minutes. Now let's go and recognize Renee. Please, Renee, tell us your name and how long you've been associated with Toastmasters. Welcome, Renee.
I'm Renee Griffin, and I am a League City Toastmasters member since September. Thank you and good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome, Renee. And we are glad you are here. And yes, Renee, you joined just last month. So you're one of our newest members as well. And we're glad you're here. And then Jason, please, welcome. to Toastmasters.
Good morning. My name's Jason Dick. I just recently joined the Space City Toastmasters, and I'm looking forward to sitting in on a few meetings here and joining this one as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, and with that, we're off to the races. We've done member introductions and guest introductions. I'd like to spend just a minute or two and talk about the Toastmaster Promise. I call it the League City Toastmaster Promise, but it's not the League City Toastmasters Promise. It is called a Toastmasters Promise. Let me go ahead and do a screen share, okay, everybody, so you can see what I'm reviewing. So as a member of Toastmasters International and my club, we promise to attend club meetings regularly. So this is something that we all signed, that we each ascribe to when we join Toastmasters, because it's on the membership application, okay? I'm just reviewing it just so that we're freshly aware of what our commitments are as members of Toastmasters. We promise to attend club meetings regularly, to prepare each of our projects and speeches to the best of our ability, basing them upon the Toastmasters education program, which is Pathways. We commit to prepare for and fulfill meeting assignments, to provide fellow members with helpful, constructive evaluations, to help the club maintain the positive, friendly environment necessary for all members to learn and grow, to serve our club as an officer when called upon to do so, to treat our fellow club members and guests with respect and courtesy, to bring guests to club meetings so that they can see the benefits that Toastmasters membership offers, to adhere to the guidelines and rules for all Toastmasters education and recognition programs, and to act within Toastmasters core values of integrity, respect, service, and excellence during the conduct of all Toastmasters activities. Let me make sure I didn't accidentally leave something out. Okay, great. Sometimes my screen cuts off the bottom of these documents. Give me just a second. Okay, and with that, I'd like to hand the meeting now over to Megan to do a new member induction. Welcome, Megan.
I have to take myself off mute. Okay. Membership in Toastmasters is a privilege, and the only way to gain the benefits of our program is to actively participate. Do you, Spencer, promise to be an active member of this club, to attend meetings regularly, and prepare fully for your duties?
Yes.
Do you also promise to fulfill the other points in the Toastmasters Promise?
Yes.
Do you, the members of the League City Toastmasters, promise to support Spencer as he works the Toastmaster program?
Yes.
It is my pleasure to declare you installed as a member of the League City Toastmasters.
Yay, welcome, Spencer.
Welcome.
Glad to have you on board. Welcome.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you, Megan. And with that, I'd like to hand the meeting over to Elizabeth Ruiz, who's our Toastmaster for the day. Let's give her just a second. Okay, Elizabeth, we're handing the meeting over to you as our Toastmaster of the day. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, and welcome, Spencer, our newest member. Excellent. Okay, we're going to start off by introducing all of the roles. I'd love to call on the timer. If the timer could please share the roles. Thank you.
I'm going to signal with green, yellow, and red during each presentation by a speaker.
Thank you so much. May we have the rules for the aught counter and the grammarian, which happen to be me today. And I will share the aught counter. My role as aught counter is to note words and sounds used as a catch a crutch or pause filler by anyone who speaks during the meeting. The use of interjections such as and, well, but, so, like, as well as sounds like tongue clicks will be tallied. I will also note double clutches, which are words or phrases that are repeated. For example, I, or this means, this means. These injections generally disrupt the flow of speech and make a speech less interesting. At the end of the meeting, I will report the number of times that each speaker used these expressions. Thank you. As grammarian, my role as grammarian is to introduce the word of the day and encourage its use by all participants. I will note who uses the word of the day correctly or incorrectly. I will listen to the word usage and note any awkward or misuse of the English language, such as incomplete sentences or grammar. The word of the day is spooky. The meaning of the word is sinister or ghostly in a way that causes fear or unease. Sentence example, I bet this place is really spooky late at night. I would now like to share our theme, which is Halloween. That is our theme of this week. I would also, let's see. Okay. We have the timer, the odd counter, the ballot counter. Scott, can you share how the ballot counter will work?
Yeah, so this morning I'm the ballot counter. The purpose of the ballot counter is to collect and compare ballots submitted by club members for best table topics presentation and best evaluator and best speaker. Only members are allowed to vote, as only members would be familiar with the criteria for voting. Guests are encouraged, however, to include notes of encouragement and edification. The ballot counter does not cast a vote unless there is a tie, in which case the ballot counter's vote will be the tie-breaking vote. And one of the things we do on Zoom is we use the polling mechanism in Zoom. So when it's time to cast our votes for best speaker, prepared speaker, best table topic speaker, and best evaluator, I will send out a poll. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Scott. I would like to introduce our speaker of the day, Toastmaster Alicia Lamborghini West. She is in level 5 of dynamic leadership. Reflect on your path. It's 10 to 12 minutes for our timer. Madam Timer, do you know how that works? It's green for 10 minutes, yellow for 11, and red for 12. The project title is My Mission. Let me introduce to you Toastmaster Lamborghini West. She has a lifelong profound interest in topics that affect women, as the limitations on social pressures imposed to them and the complicated relationship they may have with alcohol. Sharing her message is her personal mission. Alicia, the floor is all yours.
And do I understand that the maximum time limit is 12 minutes?
Yes, red is 12, and she disqualifies at 12 minutes, 30 seconds.
So she has a
30-second leeway after 12 minutes. So what you'll do is you'll hold up green at 10, yellow at 11, and you'll hold a red card at 12.
So she has a 12-minute speech.
10 minutes to 12 minutes is her speech. She had anywhere between 10 and 12. So what we do, Renee, is she would qualify if her speech was 9 minutes, 30 seconds. You have 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after.
Seconds.
30 seconds. I apologize. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you. So my topic today is my mission, that is related with the topic that is in my pathway. My path is my vocation, and with the years became my mission. And my mission is related with helping women in difficult gender issues, essentially and basically about social pressures limiting women. And last year, I published my second book that was about social pressure limiting women, Your Life, Your Way. And this year, I am working on my third book that is about the complicated relationship women have with alcohol. Is more pressure women have, more propensity has to a difficult relationship with alcohol. So this is in my mission. We all know that being a woman is not easy. In all cultures, in all cultural backgrounds, at all ages, in all social classes, women have social pressures. I saw this in my experience as a clinical psychologist. 9 of my 25 years of private practice were at a very special place. It was a clinic for outpatient clients, but all they have all female clients and staff base. All the clients, doctors, and staff were women. I come from a family where, with the exception of my mother and myself, everybody is male. So being surrounded by this all-female energy was a positive experience for me. At this clinic, I saw firsthand how many pressures women have and how unhappy, guilty, and ashamed they are if they don't raise at the level of the expectations. I saw this in my own life and in my relationship with other doctors, staff, and clients. The second thing that I learned in that clinic that remained with me since is how efficient could be a woman when help another woman. Typically, the woman helping is reliable, efficient, and committed to that. So when a woman helps another woman, both women succeed. That time in my career was very important in informing the foundation of my vocation. And it was about these social pressures. Women limit their life for the pressures that come from family, community, society, and from the pressures that come from themselves based on internalizing those expectations. In general, cultural and social stereotypes generate expectations. Expectations create demands, and demands are the source of pressures. Now, at this point, I want you to make an exercise that is for you, just for you. You don't have to share that. Think in a time when you were a child or a teenager or a young adult where you have an expectation. Somebody have an expectation about you and you answer it short to that expectation. Here is the expectation and you answer it at this level. What happened between here and here? What happened? Think about that. What I saw, and is in research, that there are a lot of negative responses, up to and including abuse. And that is serious. So the reason I am in this path is about all this. what I am talking, and to show women that we have a personal identity and we have to respect that. We have the right to develop, express, and expand our personal identity that is unique. We don't have to respond to the expectations of our community, family, etc. We have to respond to our own expectations. Besides, cultural expectations are not laws, and we are not criminals if we don't respond at the level of the expectations that other people have about us. The starting point is that when we evaluate our circumstances, needs, goals, etc., we have to start in the fact that our life is our own. And this gives us power. We are not objects or the property of anybody. We are our own property, and that gives us power. Sometimes when I talk about this, people say, oh, but you are talking about other countries, other cultures, etc. No, I am talking about all cultures, including the United States. Here, women have a lot of pressures, maybe more than in some Latin American countries from where I am from. So I am talking to women, but also I am talking to men, because undoing social pressures is everybody's responsibility. It is only from a foundation of equal distribution of power that a new and better world will develop. And here is what I want to share with my sisters around the world. Keep reaching beyond what is comfortable, secure, cozy, spooky, and easy in your life. Try new experiences. Allow yourself to make mistakes and learn from them. When we make mistakes, we make better questions to ourselves. Try new experiences. And from change, courage, and creativity is going to emerge a more complete, happier, and successful personality to serve you and others in your path. Sharing this message is my mission, and is my paying back for all the things that I received, for the opportunities I have, for all the things that I could do in my life, for what I am very grateful. Thank you very much. And I have sometimes that, still I have sometimes, and I am open to your questions.
Okay, so I've got a question.
Yes.
I think you've still got a little bit of time. How can women resist the compulsion by their communities and by their family members to live up to their expectations? How can women resist? How can they, without being ostracized, and in some cultures actually beaten up, for not living up to the expectations of their community and or family members?
Right. You have to find somebody that help you in this journey. It is so limited what we can do by ourselves in anything that you can think. Almost everything comes from the outside. So to find somebody to help them, this is what is my advice in difficult cultures And for example, here in the United States, in the rural culture that is so traditional, so conservative, and from there develop their goals and their desires or whatever they want to do, to look for a leader in the community, in their church, in their wherever, and from there start building. There are many groups and many communities that have leaders. This is something that is not new. It is expanding from the 50s. So what I say, if you don't find in your community, find online and start working with groups online through social media or wherever you can do, especially in this time of the pandemic. Thank you for your question. It is very, very important, your question, Scott, as always.
Thank you, Scott, for asking a question, and thank you, Alicia, for your informative speech. I would now like to turn it over to the I part of our PIE, P-I-E. I means impromptu speeches. This role is filled by our Toastmaster, Renee Griffin. Renee, the table topics section is all yours.
My first table topic for today is, if you could be a collector of anything, what would you collect and why? Jason?
Yes. I have always had a fascination with cars. I really like vehicles out of the 1950s era, the late 40s and 50s especially. One of my most favorite vehicles is a 1950 Mercury that appeared in one of Sylvester Stallone's movies. I have been a fan of that ever since. I enjoy resto mods, and I also really like the custom modifications. I have owned a couple of Corvettes in my life, and after Hurricane Harvey, I lost one of them, so I have yet to replace one of my collectible passions.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
I appreciate that very much. And if you have an ongoing interest in classic cars, I've noticed that every Saturday in the late afternoon, early evening, there are a number of classic car collectors who gather in the parking lot of the shopping center in Clear Lake Shores, where Home Depot and Target are located on Marina Bay Drive near Highway 146. The next 1 to 2 minute topic, the question is, when you want to give someone a big thank you, what do you do and how do you do it? Megan?
Thank you, Toastmaster Renee. Funny you should ask that, because I'm actually leaving this meeting today a little bit early to give a big thank you to my colleagues. I work at the Harris County Public Library, and when the spooky COVID closed our doors, we did a really fast turnaround and we started virtual programming. So my colleagues, who are mostly introverted, largely keep to themselves, really pushed themselves and got out in front of the camera, started doing some really cool, interesting programming that we put online. And so this morning, I am surprising them with a celebratory thank you. We made little keychains for everybody, like Harris County Public Library, we survived 2020, and putting together a little appreciation presentation for them. But other than this, I really like Tiff's treats. So thank you.
Thank you, Megan. We are now in the season of autumn. In this Houston area, we don't see much foliage. However, if you were in a part of the country where it is typical for leaves to turn colors, what would be your favorite color of autumn? Spencer?
All right, thank you, Renee. I would have to say my favorite color would be the deep orange that you see in the trees before the leaves actually start to fall. I think that it's so important for us to be able to experience the seasons, because I think it is a physical manifestation of how our time and how our lives pass us by. Living in Houston, it's a little bit unfortunate every year that we experience very similar weather, and then one day it gets cold and the next day it's back to hot. And I think that just makes the years start to feel like they're dragging on, and that there is no discontinuity between, or I guess it makes it feels like all the years are very connected, which they are in a sense. But I think it's important for us to understand like the cycles of the years, and how these seasons that play out in nature also play out in ourselves. And I think that it's just more natural for us to be able to experience the different seasons, and for us to physically see and feel how time passes on in the year. I think that the orange leaves of fall and autumn are very nice for me, at least, because we don't see that in Houston. We only see it being hot and then it being cold. So that middle point right there, where you just need a light cardigan to go outside, I think is something that we miss a lot down here. And it would definitely be my favorite to see that point where it's about to get cold, but not quite.
Thank you. That concludes table topics for today. Excellent work by Jason, Megan, and Spencer.
All right, yay, yay, yay. I see our Toastmaster, Elizabeth. Okay.
Excellent, thank you. Renee did message on our agenda that she needs to leave after table topics. And is that correct, Renee?
Yes.
And I filled in as timer when she departs. We will be switching roles in the midst of our club meeting. So whenever Renee needs to leave, I'll switch over as timer as well. Okay, excellent table topics, questions. Thank you so much, Renee. I'd love to turn the meeting over to the E part of our pie, the evaluation part. Our general evaluator, Toastmaster Scott Livingston, also president of League City Toastmasters. He will be now conducting this part of the meeting. Scott, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you. And Elizabeth, interrupt me if I do something wrong or take a little too long. It's the first time I've done this. So as a general evaluator, before the meeting, the room and equipment was set up on time.
Scott,
Yes?
I
Yes.
have to interrupt you. I am so sorry. The general evaluator reports his or her report at the end of the evaluation section. The first thing you would do is ask for the timer's report of how long the evaluator has, and then you would introduce the evaluators.
Okay.
And then you would call on all counter grammarian, word of the day usage, and then you would do your general evaluation. Thank you.
Okay. So timer, how much time? And I'm not going to remember all that. So timer, how much time does each member, I'm talking about the grammarian.
Evaluator.
Okay, yeah, and see, the problem with the general evaluators, there's not a script for that.
So it's the timer reports on how many minutes the evaluation portion is.
All right. The evaluation portion will consist of evaluations by 3 evaluators. And the allotted amount of time, 3 is, the allotted amount of time is 9 minutes.
And then Scott, you would introduce the first evaluator.
Okay, so the first evaluator is Megan. And Megan, did you have an opportunity to, because I think you were evaluating Kelly. Kelly didn't come. So did you evaluate Alicia?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay, great. So welcome, Megan.
Thank you, Toastmaster Scott. Alicia, your clarity, vocal variety, eye contact, gestures, audience awareness, comfort level, and interest were all exemplary. Your content was well supported through your many years of experience. Some notes that I took during your speech, I felt that you really connected with your audience. In particular, if you noticed, I noticed the women, I was nodding along, Renee was nodding along at certain points. So you did a very good job of connecting with your audience, but it wasn't just for women. You also included information that is helpful for men as well. I like that your speeches are building on your previous speeches. So there's a nice continuity from speech to speech that seems to just build on each previous one. I like that you left time for questions. That was the first time in a Toastmaster speech I had seen that, and I thought that was a nice touch for the audience to be able to participate. And I put that your speeches always give listeners food for thought. And I will email you a more complete evaluation after the meeting is over. So thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster Scott.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you.
Okay, so I think Megan meant coming back to the general evaluator. So again, I don't see a script for this. I'm just going to muddle through it, and Elizabeth will tell me where I've gone off the rails. I'm going to call upon the grammarian, and then after that, the owl counter, and then after that, the ballot counter. Does that sound reasonable, Elizabeth?
It's perfect, Scott. Thank you. Okay, for the odd counters, for speaker number 1, we had 5 ands, 4 so's, and 7 ums and ers. Our topics master had 1 ah. Our table topic speaker number 1, Jason, had 1 so and 3 double clutches. Our table topics 2, Megan, had 4 ands, 1 like or 1 double clutch, and 1 on er. Spencer had 2 likes and 4 ahs and ums. Megan, you had nothing. Scott did not hear anything. For the grammarian's report, Alicia, I heard 1 misuse of grammar. For example, I heard you say in this. For Spencer, it was a double clutch of AA or Also, I heard and then, and there were 3 I think that. Also, in that there is no. Also, I guess. Also, I think that. Megan, nothing. And that is it. That is the grammarian and odd counter report. Thank you.
So I believe the 2 things that remain are the ballot counting and the general evaluation. So I'm planning to do the ballot counting at this time and then wrap it up with general evaluation. No? What's next?
The word of the day, we had Renee use it, Alicia, and Megan. And I believe, Spencer, did you say spooky once? I don't think so. Okay, so Megan, Renee, and Alicia, and I just said so. So now I'm counting myself in that nice little group.
I did not say spooky.
Okay, thank you,
Failed to
Renee.
say spooky.
Okay, and now, Scott, you will call for the timers report, and then you'll do your general evaluator. Thank you.
Okay. Timers report, please. Renee, would you talk about who qualified or who did not qualify today?
I'm pleased to report that everyone qualified and that everyone spoke and delivered their presentations within the allotted amounts of time. So congratulations to all, and do please continue your wonderful success record.
Yay, 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 yay.
At this
Great.
time, I will exit the meeting and wish you all a good day.
See you next time, Renee.
Thank you, Renee. Thank you.
Okay, so at this time, I understand that I'm going to pick up as the general evaluator and talk a little bit about the meeting overall. Okay. So before the meeting, the room was ready to go. The equipment was set up on time. Actually, it was early. Guests were welcomed upon arrival. We had brief introductions. Guests were informed about Toastmasters and the meeting format. In the meeting opening, the presiding officer was prepared and organized. The meeting started on time. Everyone was properly introduced, talking about members and guests. The Toastmaster was properly introduced. The Toastmaster did fill all roles prior to the meeting. In fact, Elizabeth sent out, I counted 4 emails, minimum, leading up to the meeting. The Toastmaster did introduce and explain the meeting's theme. The Toastmaster did introduce the general evaluator. The Toastmaster did properly introduce the topics master. That was Renee. The general evaluator, well, did not properly introduce the grammarian, but muddled through it. The grammarian was prepared and did introduce their role with the allotted time. The grammarian did it properly introduce word of the day. The word of the day was challenging, appropriate, and fitting for the meeting of the theme of the meeting, excuse me. The general evaluator did introduce the timer. The timer was prepared and did introduce their role within the allotted time. The general evaluator did introduce the odd counter. The odd counter was prepared and did introduce their role. Of course, we had someone that wasn't able to attend, but Elizabeth stepped in. And of course, the general evaluator did give their report, because that's what we're doing here. The topics master. The purpose and the timing of the table topics was properly explained. Renee did a great job. The topic selected was very appropriate for our theme. The topics master did call upon people who did not have a meeting role first. In other words, she selected the guests, which is intentional to be inclusive. Guests were invited to participate, which is very important for our club. The topics master did track time to ensure the meeting stayed on schedule. And was control properly returned to the Toastmaster? Yes, it was. So at that, I'll give it back to the Toastmaster.
This is when we'll share the poll to vote on best table topics master.
Okay, great. I am ready. I'm going into the poll. The poll is who gave the best table topic speech today? We have 3 speakers. Number 1, Jason Dick. Number 2, Megan Lemaster. Number 3, Spencer Heilig. I'm launching the poll. And I believe you guys will get an invitation, and it looks like I'm getting the results in real time. And because
you,
I'm sorry?
You are the ballot counter, right?
That's right. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now there's 6 of us. I see 4 people that have voted. So I need 1 more person to vote.
Yeah, I have to vote.
Okay.
Me see.
And if there's a tie, I'll break it. Okay. Okay. Okay, so the winner for today's table topic speech with the majority of votes is Spencer Heilig. Welcome, or thank you, Spencer. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Back to you, Toastmaster.
Congratulations, Spencer. That's excellent. Thank you. Here is where I would have closing comments and return it back to our presiding officer. I would, first of all, before I turn it over back to Scott, I would love to ask Jason how he liked the meeting as a guest. What did you think of it?
Thank you. I really, really enjoyed Toastmasters. I particularly enjoyed being put on the spot. I was not expecting to be called on, but I really like that. I especially like being put out of my comfort zone, and I really enjoyed this meeting.
Thank you, Jason. I love how you phrased that. I really like being put out of my comfort zone. A lot of people get too itchy over that, but it is interesting to be put out of the comfort zone for just a minute in a very safe environment. And we're all here to learn, and we're all here to help each other in positive critique, to help each other become better and grow in our own personal growth, to become better leaders and speakers. So thank you for that. I'd like to now turn this over to our president, Scott Livingston. Scott, is all yours.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So I've got a few things that I'm prepared to speak regarding, and this is just some last minute thoughts. We're going to end our meeting early today, so don't be worried about that. I will say that thank you to Elizabeth. We finished early. A lot of times we're lucky if we can finish on time. Now, sometimes we don't run too late. We'll run, maybe 5 minutes late or something like that. But what I like so much about today's meeting is that Elizabeth kept us on track. She modeled, another word would be mentored. She exhibited leadership by showing us how to send emails as the Toastmaster to the rest of the club in advance so they know what are the roles for our meeting. That saved us a lot of time. And the reason I'm mentioning that is that provides us with opportunities for continued success moving forward, because now that she modeled how to send out those emails with the agenda, I saved those emails. I'm going to use those emails, copied that example. And what that means moving forward is that we're going to sign people up for roles in advance. If they don't confirm, then we fill those roles on the day of. But what it does is it minimizes the amount of lost time that we don't have for speeches. One of the things we want to do is we want to have and provide more opportunities for fantastic speeches like Alicia. We record these meetings. People around the world can see these meetings on our YouTube channel. There are people in countries where women are mistreated that will have an opportunity to see this online. This is an educational video. So when we put this online, people are going to be able to see Alicia's video and learn something that they may not see or hear about in their own community, as long as they have access to the internet. So putting on quality programming and speeches is important, not only because it's our mission in life as individuals, but also as leaders, also as Toastmasters. And when we want to develop personally and professionally, that provides an opportunity. We have opportunities in Toastmasters to speak, but also to lead and to teach others. So having time in our meetings for these speeches is of paramount importance. So thank you for Elizabeth for leading the way. With that, I want to talk about mentorships. We are setting up mentors so that everyone in Toastmasters is mentoring someone and has a mentor, because what we want to do is we want to make sure everyone's going through pathways. As a new member in Toastmasters, you get a free Pathways program. It's included with your membership. And what you don't want to do is leave money on the table. So the opportunities there, Pathways is a fantastic program. It's online, it's dynamic, it's interactive, it's robust, it's to the point. You can go through a lesson in about 20 minutes, and then you can work on your speech. And one of the things I like to encourage people so that we can fill up our speech modules every meeting is to consider, okay, look, we only meet every other week. So on the Fridays that we're not meeting, if you're very, very busy, just dedicate an hour or two each Friday for Toastmasters. So for our meeting today, you met for an hour, you got another hour, let's say, to work on your speech. And then the Fridays that we don't meet, you've got at least an hour, if not 2 hours, to work on your speech. So even for the people who are really, really busy, it provides an opportunity for us to dedicate time toward Toastmasters so that we're not just serving, but we're also learning, growing as professionals and as individuals. Just a couple more things. One of the things I like about pandemics, and we don't see them very often, or you could talk about traumatic events, or you could talk about blips or unusual occurrences. In times of crisis, it provides unique opportunities for leaders to rise and to shine. Because in times of crisis and trauma, it distracts people, it confuses people, and that is the ideal time during which leaders can rise and shine. And that's in the military, that's in business, that's in neighborhood, that's in nonprofits, it's in every sector. Just look around. So I'm throwing down the gauntlet and saying, if you want to be a leader, or if you are a leader, this is your time to shine. This is your time to rise. This is your time to lead. Because in a time of crisis, it's only leaders who have the ability to lead because they can focus, because they have the energy, because they have the time management, because they have the wherewithal, because they have the acuity to do it. My last thing is that with our meetings, the goal is to start on time, end on time, and to pack it full of quality programming. So in our meetings in the future, please work on pathways. If you have questions about pathways, contact me, contact your mentor, work through pathways. You know, it may take you a couple of months to work on a speech. Okay, fine. But we are here to be supportive, to provide constructive feedback. We want you to be successful. We want you to be prepared, but we want you to not be overly anxious about giving a speech. We want people to be productive. We want them to be cranking out the speeches. We want our meetings to be filled with at least 2 speeches and preferably 3 prepared speeches, because as you saw today, we still had time left over. So with that, I'm done. I'm going to see if Alicia has anything she wants to say, and then I'll see if Elizabeth has anything she wants to say, and then my plan is to conclude early. Alicia, as our Vice President of Education, is there anything you'd like to share at this time?
Well, yeah, Spencer, you are a new member, so I am going to send you an email with a link. Elizabeth, a time ago, she taught a class about the basics of Toastmasters and pathways and all the things. So I want you to have this link so you can go there and explore and get confident with all the things that Scott was saying. Also, we are going to start with a mentor for you. So we have to meet for that, but when we have a mentor, we are going to contact you also. So if you have any question, you can contact your mentor and resolve your problem. Thank you, Scott. This is all.
Thank you, Alicia. Elizabeth, any other closing comments, particularly as our club coach?
I'm emailing you the timer videos now, Scott. They are videos. Some older computers will not upload them to Zoom. So just if you can't get them uploaded, that's why. but just let me know if you have any issues with them and I can walk you through it. And I just wanted to say thank you again to Jason. It was a pleasure meeting you. And we really do hope you come back anytime. Feel free. We'd love to hear more of your stories. And we'd love to have you join as a member whenever you're ready. We're here for you. We do only meet twice a month. And that is why it's so important to fill our meetings up with 3 speakers. So hopefully our next meeting, we will have 3 speakers so we can have a packed house. And Spencer, whether the mentor is myself or Scott,
It should be
we
me.
will be contacting you, one of us, to mentor you through your time here at League City Toastmasters. And that's all that I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
And before we go, Jason, I've got a PowerPoint presentation that I'll email to you. In fact, a lot of times I show this PowerPoint presentation at the beginning of each meeting, but in the interest of time, I've stopped doing that. But it's a fantastic PowerPoint that has links and information. And you may already know all this, but one of the things is that toward the end of the presentation talks about what makes League City unique. And one of the things is that we meet online, and even if we stop meeting online, we start meeting in person, we'll probably have a hybrid meeting. And one of the reasons we do that is because we do have an international focus, and we want to be open to international guests and members. And that's one of the things that makes us unique. Okay, with that, thank you, Elizabeth. And I do believe I'm the mentor for Spencer. I thought that was on my list. I'll have to go back and look, but either way, we'll make sure you've got a mentor, Spencer. And everybody, thank you for your time. And we'll see you on the first Friday in November. So it's a little bit changed. And so it's going to be on Friday, November the 6th, is our next meeting. And so with that, go ahead.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy Halloween.
Thank you. Thank
Hey,
you.
Scott, did you have a minute actually?
Sure. Yeah. Just stay on after the call. Okay. Thank you all. Y'all have a great
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
great weekend. Bye, y'all.
All right. So with the pathways thing, do I already have like a login code, or is that going to be emailed to me a little bit in a few days or something?
It's been a long time since I've done this, and we just processed your fees today.
Yeah,
What I would,
I sent the full amount. I had to send it in 2 because I was doing something wrong with Venmo, but I think you guys got the full amount.
right, yes. Well, I saw 63 and 12, and I saw it went to
Okay.
lcctoastmasters@gmail.com. It looks to me like it went there. I asked our treasurer to verify, but when I saw that it went to lcctoastmasters@gmail.com, I just assumed it did. So that's how I went in and already paid your dues to international. So what I would do if I were you is if you go to toastmasters.org and try to log in, it'd be interesting to see what they require, because you could either wait for a link or you could go ahead and just try to log in and see what kind of information they request.
Is the website just toastmasters.org?
That's it.
Okay.
And I'll visit with Elizabeth. I think she and I split up the people that we're mentoring, and I'll verify with her that I'm your mentor, but it's one of us. And so at the top of toastmasters.org, if you click on the login, it will probably ask you for your login ID.
Yeah, it says ID or email, but then I'm not sure what the password would be. I haven't.
Well, and so, okay, so you clicked on login and you said it's asking for your email and what else?
It says member ID /
That's what I thought.
email.
Ah, okay, now hold on a second. Hold on just a second. All right, we have your member ID. First of all, you should have gotten that by email. If not, hold on just a second, because if I go to Club Central and if I click on your roster or our roster, it should have your member ID. I could probably give it to you. Give me just a second. Okay. Let me look. Well, I am looking at your, yes, here it is. Here's your member ID, okay? So I'll just read it to you. I'm gonna leave off the 0. I'm gonna assume that a 0 is not part of it. So you should have gotten this by email, but in the interest of time, let me just go ahead and read it to you, okay? It's 78
Okay.
29
Okay.
736. And that popped up on our club roster when we paid your dues. And whether you got the email now or get it later, it should be on its way. But go ahead and type that in, and that should give you access.
I need a password as well, though.
So probably what I would do is I'd say forgot password. And then what they'll probably do is they'll probably email you and do.
We'll see, because whenever I go to the reset password, it sends me to a enter your email thing. And if I haven't set up an account before, I don't think it's going to recognize my email.
Well, one of the things is that we have your email in the system as a paid member. So that's why I'm thinking it'll recognize your email. The other thing too is there's not an option to set up an account for the first time. You know what I mean? A login, sometimes it'll say, sign up.
Actually, I think it's good. It did just send me an email about
Okay.
resetting my password.
Okay, good. Well, that's the little trick I've learned from IT is just say forgot password. And again, it's been a year since I've done it. I can't remember, but okay. And so once you change your password and then you log in with that ID and your email, you should be good to go. And then after that, I'll show you how to get started on Pathways.
Okay, I'm logged in.
Okay, great. So what you do is you go to Pathways, that second tab from the left, you click on Pathways.
Okay.
And then the second column under Pathways where it says go to Basecamp, they're in the middle of the second column.
Yep.
And then on the left where it says continue to path selection or choose your path, you see that?
Just a minute. My Basecamp is loading up.
Okay. So it looks like it says if you're experiencing connectivity issues with Basecamp, they say we're working on issues with some browsers and recommend the following for the best exchange: Google Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, or Microsoft Edge. So it looks like they don't work very well with Safari.
It worked. It just took a little bit. I'm on it now.
So there should be a big button in the middle of the screen that says choose your path. And then down below it says continue the path selection.
Yes.
So click on continue the path selection.
Okay.
And obviously, it's English unless you want another language.
I'm
Now
good.
at this point, you got two choices. You can do online, which is digital, which is what I do, or you can do printed materials in the mail. What most people do is the online.
Yeah, I'd probably prefer that.
Okay, yeah, I would think you would. Now where it says select digital resources, see it's grayed out. You just
Yeah.
click that. And then you've got an opportunity to either view path options, which means you go and shop around and pick the path you like, or you can take an assessment, and they basically take you through, it's like a psychological assessment where they assess your interests. And then when I did it, it gave me a couple of choices. It said, okay, we think based upon your answers that you would enjoy one of these two options. And that's how I got to innovative planning. And I thought it was a great assessment. I had fun taking it, but it's up to you.
Okay. I'll probably do that.
Okay, so if you click on take the assessment, and then after that, you click where it says continue. And then it should pop up a window that says pathways assessment. I'll tell you what, hold on just a second. Now remember, we're being recorded, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and let this recording continue because I think it's an opportunity for other people to see how we get started in pathways, if that's okay with you. So in the middle of your screen, did it pop up saying pathways assessment?
Yeah, and then I just click start and it says like 0% complete and it's asking me the first question.
Yep, there you go. Select 3 topics that interest you, and then you click next. And I can't remember how many questions there are, but I'm thinking it probably took me 20 minutes, but I had a lot of fun doing it. And then at the end, it will let you select your path. And then once you select your path, then it'll load it up. And then in the future, if you can go back up to pathways, well, let's see. Well, hold on just a second. I don't want to mess you up. I would just stay where you are and let me do a share screen and let me show you my screen. How about that? Okay, so next time you get into pathways, what you'll do is you go to Basecamp and you'll go to Basecamp, which gets you into your module for which you've registered. So this is my module. And basically, it's been a while since I've been in here, but I go to open curriculum. And that's what you're getting ready to do, is you're getting ready to load your curriculum. And I basically figure out where I am. And if it's completed, it'll say completed. If it says activate, means I haven't even started it. If it says launch, then that usually tells me where I am, and it just stops wherever I left off. And so because I see a launch button, that tells me that, okay, let me go back there and pick up at that point. And I think I've actually ended this module. I just did not do the post assessment. And because I did not do the post assessment, I think that's why it's not showing it completed, but I'm pretty sure this is where I've left off. So yeah, see, it says congratulations. And I'm pretty sure where I am actually is right here under this connect with your audience. And I think this is my next speech where it's going to say, do a speech. It might even say do the post assessment because it actually already told me to do a speech. Let's see what pops up. Yes, see, this is the post assessment. Okay, so that's what it's saying. Is it saying I need to do the post assessment after I do my speech? And that's what I seem to remember is that, okay, I got to do another speech, 5 to 7 minutes, and it's already given me my homework. If I don't remember what my homework is, I can just go in here to this launch button, and I can actually go backwards where it reminds me what is my assignment. And then when I do my assignment, which means I need to do a speech and be on a future agenda, then I do my assessment, then this will be complete, this will be complete, and then I activate this, and then away we go. And then little by little, I'll finish level 2, then I go to level 3. So that's basically it. So once you do your assessment, and then you choose the pathways that you want, then it'll load it up into Toastmasters, and then you get into Toastmasters and your base camp, just like I showed you. And then you launch it and you get started and it'll walk you through it.
Okay, cool.
That's
What would
it.
you recommend for doing these, what are they called? Lessons?
I'm sorry, say it again.
These are called lessons, right?
Well,
Or curriculums, or
I don't know if they call them lessons. They
I'm just
call
wondering,
them
like,
levels
how-
and steps.
okay. Okay. So what do you think the progression should be? Like, do you think I should be like trying to do like one a month, you know, maybe completing one level a month, or you know, one level every 2 weeks?
Okay. In each level, I think there are 3, maybe 4 speeches.
Okay.
And so if you do a speech every meeting, then it would take you 4 meetings to finish a level.
Yeah.
And I
All right,
think,
I gotcha.
and I think in level 1, they all do, I'm trying to remember, I think there's an icebreaker speech, and then you give a speech, and then you correct the speech. I think there's 3 speeches in the level 1 for each pathway. So again, that would probably take you at least 3 meetings,
Yeah.
and that's if you're doing it full time. And if it's every other meeting, then it'd take you a month and a half.
Yeah.
But as you could see, it's, you know, today we had a second speech open. We almost always have a third speech open, and they get priority. So if you want to really get after it and finish this in 3 meetings, yeah, you just always sign up as the third speaker. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the benefits of being in a club like this one, is that we've got slots available for people to always take that third speech. Yeah, so really this is at your pace. The only thing that slows you down is the fact that we meet every other week instead of every week.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So
Very
I'd blow
cool.
through it. Yeah, there are some people that even have multiple pathways, like Elizabeth and Alicia. I think they got like 2 or 3 pathways at a time. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah,
So
I'd probably try to focus on one. I feel like it would be easy with something like this to just like try to do as many as you can, and then, you know, you're really not getting too much out of it, but you're just sort of doing it for the sake of getting it done. So I'd probably just like do like, you know, one, and then like you said, you know, try to do a speech every meeting.
Right. Makes sense to me. That's what I would do. In fact, I need to get back on track. But now that we've been able to address some other things that were more important, I guess, last couple of months, that's what I'm going to start doing, is start working on my own speeches and try to do one at least every 3rd meeting, something like that. Maybe once a month. That's my goal. Yeah.
Well,
So
I
that's
didn't
how
have
you
any
do
more,
it.
yeah, I didn't have any more questions related to this stuff. But how did I do on my impromptu? I thought that I'll have to watch the video. That's cool that you guys recorded. I didn't know y'all did that. So that'll come in handy. I'll watch it whenever you upload it.
Yes, in fact, it's recording now, and I will upload it. In fact, if you check our YouTube channel, probably by 11 o'clock, it'll be up.
Cool.
Yes.
So for my own opinion on it is, the content was a little bit all over the place. I was trying to formulate my ideas as I was going, and I felt like I got a little off track around maybe like the 2/3 or 3/4 mark. But the actual, I guess, like presentation of it, apparently I said a lot of, well, like I just did, I said a lot of I said a lot of I thinks, and these are just going to be things that I didn't really know that we weren't supposed to say. I think it's, all right, dang it.
Right.
It's normal to know you're not supposed to say like and but I'll have to take a look at, or I'll have to pay more attention to the other stuff that you guys try to, or that the curriculum sort of says, like, you know, this isn't the most professional thing. And then I think that whenever I was presenting, I wasn't making the best eye contact with the camera. I think I was sort of like, I would look and look away, and then I would look back and look away. And then I do a lot of hand movements. I do a lot of hand gestures, and it's just sort of like a thinking thing. I'll just sort of use my hand and wave it around. But that's what I thought about it. How did you think that it went?
I thought you did very well in your speech. And I was mainly focusing on the content and your eye contact, the organization of the speech, the timeliness of the speech, and then I was watching the progression of your speech. And I think that's why people voted you as the best table topic speaker. We all know that giving impromptu speeches is difficult. However, that's the reason that we do it, because as leaders, we're called upon to make speeches, give feedback, evaluate, give charges, help people understand something. And so we got to put something together really quick. And so one of the things that I do is that when someone asks me to speak or give comment, the first thing I do is, okay, bam, number one, what's my main point? And sometimes I'll immediately have 2 or 3 things come to mind, but if I don't, I almost always have at least one thing that comes to mind immediately. And as I am thinking about making that one point, very soon after, I'll get 2 or 3 other points that are supporting that primary point. So it's almost like the point of a spear. I can get started with the first point, and then subconsciously, as the other 2 or 3 points start rolling in, then I can go from general to specific and start hitting off those other points. And then if I find that I need to elaborate or I've got more time, then I pick one of those secondary points and I start to flesh those out and make tertiary points. And once I make a tertiary point for one of those secondary points, then I roll and make another tertiary point about another secondary point. And if I still have time, then I make another tertiary point about another secondary point. And so it ends up looking like a Christmas tree or a triangle where I just flesh it out. And then in the meantime, I try to, like you said, spot the dot, keep the eye contact, because that's one of the things I've noticed about the experienced Toastmasters. Over time, they've learned to do what I've just said, and they do it subconsciously. They don't look at their notes. They wing it. They look at the camera and or the audience because they've got their speech memorized, or because they're winging it, they don't have to look at their speech. And if they're giving a prepared speech, really, really good Toastmasters, and I'm not there yet. I can do it on impromptu, but not on prepared. I'm still trying to get to the point where I can memorize it. But this is one of the things I was telling you is that, you know, I put these little stick-it notes. See, there's my opening and welcome, member introductions, guest introductions, Toastmaster promise, Megan, then give it off to Liz. And then in my closing comments, I winged it. I don't know if you can see this, but I put together some notes. Where is it? Timer? No, where is it? Hold on a second. It's over here. There it is. I don't know if you can see that. Where is it? Anyway, somewhere in here. Oh, there it is right there.
Okay.
So I talked about mentors, pathways, you know, how to take care of the membership. And so I jotted that down. And in my closing comments, I would start off with one of those points, and all of a sudden I'd have an idea about a secondary way to implement. And so I just chase that rabbit. Then I come back to my primary, you know, one of my primary points, chase that rabbit, come back to my primary points. And of course, I'm always watching the clock. And I think in prepared speeches, it's kind of the same thing. You know, if you come up with an acronym like WINNER, WINR or WINNER, or target, and then, you know, TARGET, that's an acronym for each one of your 5 key points. And then once you have that, you've got an idea of what your secondary point is going to be under each one, or maybe a tertiary point. I think that's how people are memorizing their speeches. You know what I mean? It's not just rote memory. I think they're setting it up like an outline where they memorize the outline or the acronym. And then it's okay to have these little stick-it notes, or, you know, if you're at a podium or meeting in person, it's totally okay to have a stick-it note on the podium and glance at the podium. No one nails someone for glancing at their notes. I've just noticed that in some of the speech contests that I've seen, that some of the better speakers have it completely memorized, and they're just looking at their audience the entire time. And the only way I can figure that they do it is not because they memorized every single word. It's because they had to use an acronym, they had to memorize the outline, and then they had to have practiced it. And then when they get up and they speak, they've got their main points, they've got their outline, they got the acronym, they focus on the audience, they've practiced it enough, they know it's 5 to 7 minutes, and then they nail it. And then the really, really, really good ones, like Elizabeth, she can just stare at the camera for 5 to 7 minutes, never even bat an eye, never even look at her notes. And she gives enough speeches that I don't know how she has time to put them together and memorize them, which makes me suspect that she's got maybe a wealth of content already developed from other experiences in life. And then when she gives these speeches, I'm wondering if it's plug and play. It's like pulling a book off a shelf in a library and plugging it in, because she's got so much ready information, and that just comes from experience. But some of the really good Toastmasters, that's what they do, but it just comes with experience. And I would say you've arrived when you can do that, and then when you've taught someone else how to do it. But you're going to get there really soon. And then the gestures, the only thing I might say is you just don't want it to detract. You know, you don't want to do something like this. But if you notice, like Alicia leaned into the camera, you know, to make a point. I've seen Elizabeth do this or do this. I mean, she purposely, intentionally brings her hands into the view of the camera. And of course, if you're at a podium, you can lean on the podium, lean over the podium. You know, you've got a little more flexibility. But yeah, gestures, you just want to make sure they're not distracting. Yeah, but and then of course eye contact. But no, that's a lot of it. And then like you said, the ums, and then the I think and all that. In Toastmasters, it's called a double clutch. Like I think that it just seems like it's, or if someone says so or and it's not like I went to the bank and the store, not that type of and. It's like I went to the bank and, it's like they camp there. They pause too long. What they're looking for is any interruption of thought, any interruption of momentum that breaks up the smoothness, that shows that it's rough. And of course, same thing, because what that does, obviously it's a distraction, but what it also is again, it's another example where someone's camping out, where it's almost like an excuse. I'd almost say, well, I don't want to say that word. It's almost like an excuse where they're trying to think of their next words. And what we're trying to do is get that smooth thought, and it just comes by being forced and just learning how to do it.
Very cool. Well, I'll have to watch the video to double check it. One of the things that I heard recently about, like, when politicians are giving speeches, and I think it's pretty noticeable. So much of what public speaking is very noticeable once you are made cognizant of, you know, like the different tools that there are. One of the things that they do apparently is they will, I guess, like you said, camp on a certain idea until they really have their answer. You know, like they'll be asked a question, and their first, 2 minutes of the question will be, hey, thank you for the question. It's an excellent question. And that's why, I just think this country is so great because of our ability to do this. But like while they're saying all this other stuff, it's sort of filler, until they're able to be like, oh, that's where I'm going to go. And then they go off from there. And now that I think about it, I think that could be applied with the impromptu speeches that we do as well. Like, for example, what mine was today was about the leaves of autumn. If I didn't have any ideas, I could have spent more time talking about, maybe making some sort of nice imagery about autumn to get people, thinking about it. And that would give me some time to move from there on to, whatever it was that I was going to talk about. But I think that's similar to that sort of that sort of camping idea and that idea that you were talking about, where you just get going and then you give your main point and then you bounce off from there.
I think you're exactly right. As I'm thinking about, yeah, I'm going to use that I'm going to use that idea in my next impromptu, because I like what you're saying, because just like you said, autumn leaves. I think to myself, okay, when I think about autumn leaves, I think about brown, I think about orange, I think about red, I think about Connecticut, I think about the changing of the seasons and opportunity. It's almost like I'm laying my outline out before the audience before I jump in, but also it doesn't look as though you're hemming and hawing around and kicking the ground saying, oh my gosh, what am I going to say? Oh, I've never done this before. Oh, I'm so scared, blah, blah, blah. But instead, if you're kind of laying out the groundwork, but you're also inviting the audience to participate in thinking about, okay, what does it entail when we talk about autumn leaves? Then you get a twofer. You get to lay out your outline, you get to think about it subconsciously, but you're also bringing them into the conversation. Yes.
Especially if it's something like, I feel like the autumn leaves question isn't anything that you can give I guess you could if you really flesh it out, but it's not something that you're going to come up with some super profound answer that you're really going to dive deep into, and you're going to have your hypothesis and then your thesis statement and then all your supporting arguments, so if you need to fill in a 3-minute time window, take a little bit to sort of dance around and paint this picture and then make a point. So it seems like everyone's like, okay, you did really good. He talked the whole time, wasn't too much ums and ahs, and there was content and it was nice.
Right. Well, I know sometimes in my role, people will ask me to say, Scott, what do you think? And it's the same thing as an impromptu speech. Even though I may only have 10 seconds or even 30 seconds to speak, for example, like at work, when my boss asks me what I think, it's the same thing as an impromptu speech, because what I have to do is think immediately, okay, what's my primary point? What else do I want to say? And it's almost like get in and get out. Say it succinctly, say it convincingly, and then stop. And I think that's the key, is teaching our minds how to quickly do that. And I think the 2-minute or the 1 to 2 minutes for the impromptu, it allows us to come up not just with responses for 30 seconds, which is actually more common, but to actually have a couple of minutes, for example, where we might be called to make a toast at an event or give introductory remarks at a banquet, or introduce a speaker, or think on the fly or speak on the fly. I think that's the whole point. We don't want to get up there and look awkward or look like we don't know what we're doing, because then it's embarrassing, and leaders seem like they always have something to say. And so I think that's the key. It just forces us into that environment where we learn how to think quickly, think on our toes, think on our feet, think specifically, but also succinctly. And also, when I say convincingly, it means to flesh out the arguments.
Gotcha. All right, Scott. Well, thanks a lot for your time. Thanks for staying after with me. I appreciate it.
You bet. And I'm going to upload this video. And if you check on our YouTube channel by about 11 o'clock, just Google YouTube or go to youtube.com and look for League City Toastmasters. It'll pop up, and look for the recording for today's date.
Right. Cool. Thanks a lot. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Okay. You bet.
All right. Bye-bye.
Good luck. Thanks, Spencer. All right. Bye.